Well, RNG with pick priority have elected to take blue side. Rusty, thank you so much for your analysis. He'll be joining us after this set to break down what's going on. As you can see, we're already in Fizz, Kog'Maw, and Rengar, again banned away from OMG. No changes from them. Meanwhile, that is Camille, Ivern, and Rumble. So identical bans outside of that Rumble being moved to Phase 1, and immediately MLXG scoops himself up that Lee Sin.
And that's the big difference as they move over into the blue side, is the pick priority into jungle. That said, Elise is still up and available, as is Graves, so World 6 has his pick of the litter of how he wants to respond to this. I would expect it would be, I was going to say Shin Lulu.
Or do they continue to prioritize the jungle? It's time for World 6 to really step up. He's got a whole bunch of Graves games available, and Graves is open.
You don't want to pick the Graves here just yet, just because it's not going to be picked anyway by RNG. You would have to pick it before second rotations of ban, unless you think that... Whoa, Nami!
Nami before Lulu from OMG. Perhaps they know something that we don't, or perhaps it could just be that lane priority, and knowing that SMLZ is going to take trades with Uzi, so to keep him topped off, they get someone with heals.
Could also mean that they're going to change up gears and look for a different AD carry, or maybe they have that much faith into the Lucian. So it can go two ways. Either you're looking at a Caitlyn or you're looking at a Lucian. And now it's RNG kind of their choice of whether they want to deny this away. Which they're not going to, because they're going to go back to that Ashe route.
Ashe picked up once again for Uzi. Huge performance in game number 1. Despite dying in the bottom lane, he was able to keep even in CS, and more importantly, keep even in items, despite coming out of the laning phase at a deficit.
And it is Ming, so it doesn't mean that they have to take the Lulu here. They could actually pick up either a top laner because they know it's the Shin, or maybe they can go, there you go, going for the top lane. Technically, it's still a flex pick because it can go into that bottom side. We expect it'll go into the hands of Let Me, but I feel like Ming is going to go towards his Leona.
That's not Graves.
That is not Graves. It's not locked in.
A little bit of fun coming out of Icon as he gets ready for this. Really, would you prioritize the Elise over the Graves in this matchup?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, well, the Elise it is.
Elise with Shin is why I would prioritize it over the
Prioritize
Graves.
and resets.
Exactly. So much more pressure about looking up to those dives, making sure that you're building big waves. At this point, though, you have to think that RNG is going to second rotation of ban, that they need to take away Caitlyn, they need to take away Lucian. But that means that Echo might slide through.
Let's see what they decide to focus down towards that bottom lane. Again, OMG will have pick coming out of this, so Gragas is now banned away.
Wow, so they suspect that it's a...
Support Nautilus.
Watch the next ban be Leona. Like, we don't know where you're going, but we don't like this.
Very specific picks. And again, it's sort of following up on RNG, the brute force. They're just better than you, so sometimes they can drop in the Solar Eclipse. They can drop in the Cask to force these fights.
The scary thing for RNG, though, is who do you focus? Do you focus out Icon, or do you focus out SMLZ? Do you let the Echo go through? They're going to focus out Icon, so they're going to leave it up to Ming and Uzi to think that they are strong enough that they can go toe-to-toe with this Lucian Nami that we think is going to come out of OMG.
Alrighty, so OMG, very different priorities from RNG. Who do they target this time? We're still looking for mid and AD carry from OMG. We're looking for mid and potentially topper support, depending on where that Nautilus goes from RNG. So a bit more flexibility once again. But yeah, that Kled you mentioned, they let the ban go through. Hand immediately goes up for OMG, so 5 missing his ban right there. We did see the hand go up in the background. We should be getting out of this in just a moment.
Firefox, hand to
Yeah.
face, not again.
Still not seeing any pause just yet, as the timer is just being run out. Talon is actually now going to be banned away, so perhaps OMG not quite getting that ban that they wanted in here. If they pick a champion right here, then it continues through the pick and ban phase.
It's hard to get anything from SMLZ. If there's a problem, they're going to go ahead and go through, so ban missed.
Yeah, very interesting. Perhaps a bit of a statement from OMG.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
There's pretty much no advantage to doing that when you're on red side because you pick immediately after it.
Very curious, but SMLZ is returning to that Lucian Nami bottom lane. We've got a chance to see the moo cow. Oh man, time to break out your cowbells.
More cowbell. Nah, man, come on. This guy, please Leona, thinks he's Yellow Star. What is this? It checks out.
He is the only person to play Leona. 5 out of 5 times Ming has played Leona. He has won every single time.
Yeah. But it goes back to that idea of the confidence. You know, they decided to pinch Icon. Icon still has the Echo available now that the Talon and the Jace have been removed from him. It works really well with their composition that likes to dive a lot. So you have an incredibly potent and powerful bottom lane from OMG. And if they locked Echo in here, then you have Echo, Elise, and Shin for dive.
Oof.
Oh, he's going even farther.
Oh, man. Or Icon just going one-on-one, toe-to-toe, mano-y-mano.
So this is why they went the direction of the Talon, is because you have the Elise and the Shin for magic damage, that you need some sort of supplement AD damage. And as I say that, he's like, nope, 90-degree turn.
Ah. Giving us all a quick heart attack as he decides to swap over for the much more intelligent and tactical pick. Still excellent at diving and roaming across the map. Last time we saw Icon sort of fill a supplementary role for SMLZ. He has a much more potent opportunity in this game to set up for strong flanking plays for his team and continue to funnel them towards success if he can set up flanks. He's got to do that against Lee Sin, Nautilus, Leona, LeBlanc. That is a lot of crowd control. That is a lot of pick if he ever finds himself out of position.
But the thing is RNG haven't been able to really utilize a lot of their pick potential. They've had this pretty much exact same composition that they did last game. You know, some of the pieces have been changed. It's the Leona now. You've got another Nautilus, so a good beefy front line to follow up in a 5v5. But they had Ash Arrow as well as LeBlanc and Gragas Cask, and they were unable to transition that into a win. So hopefully their pick works much better this time around. OMG, their composition still suffers in terms of sieging. It's incredibly reliant on Talia to wall off objectives to give them away for free, especially against all of that abundant wave clear still in RNG's comp.
Yeah, it'll take a lot to set these plays up in advance. And of course, OMG still looking very strong if they manage to fight, if they manage to find that crowd control. We've seen how excellent Uzi is with his arrows. I think he missed, what, a grand total of 2 in the previous game?
Some of them he threw very late, however. You think about that very last team fight that ended up
and
costing them the
gold
game.
All of them. Yeah. So perhaps he can tighten things up, get the car running a little bit more smooth as OMG are looking to close out the Series 2-0, and RNG are trying to bring it back.
But this is the prediction with RNG. This is a very telegraphed composition that they run. They've done the Leona multiple times. As you said, 5 out of 5, 100% win rate. But this is how it works. Lee Sin will start jungle on the top side of the map. He will then make a beeline straight for bottom side. At level 3, it will be an all-in engage with MLXG and Ming leading the charge. And you have to know that SMLZ and 5 see that coming.
Yeah. They've got the Elise for pretty fast clear as well, plus some reset if they find themselves out of position, plus Lucian and Nami are generally a very safe bottom lane if they allow themselves to play back, especially against the likes of an Ashe, who could be tossing out those volleys left and right. So we'll keep an eye on that very early start. Of course, that means that the other lanes will be a little bit volatile as well, knowing that they won't be getting an early interaction. Xiaohu perhaps can take a much more aggressive route against Icon in this game on that Talia, and let me probably feeling pretty good about getting that stronger pick in the top lane, that Nautilus into Shen.
But I also like the fact that both these teams want to play around the bottom lane. So you have the Ashe on one side and then you have Shin on the other. So I feel like it's just going to be this race. Like, will the Ashe Arrow connect? Will the Stan United get channeled all the way through? And it should just be, again, another explosive and very volatile game between SMLZ and Uzi. These two titans clashing. And that's the thing. Uzi's been around forever. He has the international fame and renown and glory behind him. He's the name that everyone knows. But it was almost such a different world where it could have been SMLZ. He was the guy that was chosen by Wei Xiao. It was supposed to be him, not Uzi, that was the great AD carry. But unfortunately, he never made it that far. It was always Uzi standing in his way at one point or another. He disappeared down to the LSPL. He now comes back. He's the veteran player next to Xiong on this OMG very young lineup. They've taken one game from RNG and Uzi. SMLZ, this would just be the icing on the cake.
If you could finally give it back to Uzi and say, who's the better AD now?
Should have been me at the World Finals.
Yeah, Uzi only has 2 expressions. Either way, neither of them would be an appropriate response to that sort of question. Angry Uzi? Happy Uzi? I don't know.
SMLZ has 1 expression, so let's be honest.
He's even one-upping him in that. You've got 2 expressions, I've got 1. Oh, 1.5. He smirks occasionally.
I don't know. There's a good picture of him after they had their
That's right. Yeah,
their 2-0 victory, where he is just
the
like
full grin.
Exactly, ear to ear teeth.
Oh man, very serious faces from RNG as they get into this. Looks like they are set to be taking this one deadly serious.
5, no emotion.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the perfect duo partner for his partner in crime next to him. You just look at that bottom lane, just straight face. You guys are up 6 kills. What's
they're like
happening?
Bouncers. Always dead serious. You can never break through that veneer, that exceptional mask. MLXG looking to have a much more confident performance in this game. The Gragas very slow, very patient in game number 1. World 6 was the one who set the pace early on and got OMG that advantage. Can he do it again? This time taking Elise into MLXG's Gragas. And just a few weeks ago, there were conversations over who's the best jungler in the league. Is it MLXG or is it Condi? If World 6 is putting him on his toes, then MLXG might have to do some serious thinking. And
now we even need to introduce Firelily into that conversation.
Yeah.
After the shellacking that he gave Condi the other day.
Yeah.
That was brutal to watch for Team WE fans. But MLXG, I mean, we talked about SMLZ's comeback story and his rise to glory. The other really cool story on RNG is MLXG. When he came into the LPL, he was this no-name Chinese jungler in a region that was stacked with the likes of Dandy. Clearlove was still running around at his prime. This is when Dark Clearlove was dominating the Rift.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very scary ecosystem of junglers in the LPL, and MLXG carved out a name for himself. And not only did it domestically, but did it internationally. And so now he gets to come back in and say, I am one of the best junglers in China, if not one of the best junglers in the world after my MSI performance. But you need to make it count, and you want to have that return form.
Yeah, it's time to see if he can live up to it. You just saw the coaches shaking hands. That means the players are now on their own. So a lot of extra advice these two teams have gotten over the past few seconds. Will it be enough as we are now set to load onto the Rift? You can see the players are laughing and smiling.
Like,
Icon looks very happy.
Man, we should have banned that Leona. Why didn't we ban anything? It's fine. It's Leona. This is the thing. I worry that if RNG make it to the international stage, it's so easy to look them up and be like, okay, this team plays Leona. But I feel like every other team will be like, so let them play Leona. That's a terrible pick. Oh God, what have we done?
They'll experience the horror of Ming on Leona. Oh man.
It'll be against G2 as well. The EU, oh man, I need to watch the EU LTS playoffs to make sure that G2 are still in it. I believe Splice fell to Misfits.
We have been so focused on our own ecosystem. Finally, we are set to load to the Rift. Our composition's on screen right now. It is do or die time. That final ban, an open spot on the bottom of your screen beneath OMG. A statement, a mistake, we'll find out at the result of this game.
If they lose, definitely a mistake.
If they win, definitely a statement.
We did this without a ban.
It was deliberate. But everyone is now forward. You can see RNG are already racing out. It's game number 2 between RNG and OMG. They get a quick ward onto the
Raptor camp?
Raptor camp.
That is a very loud crowd.
Oh, yeah. 2 chants per team, 4 total come across, filling the air. As now everyone decides to reset. Xiaohu dancing back and forth, keeping Icon occupied.
Ihan.
Ihan.
Like IHOP. But in a sass, I don't know. Painkillers. It's a long day, Dom.
It's like an international house of Nutella. You can see similar summoner spells. Thunderlords for 3 on OMG. We're seeing the exact same from RNG, but Courage of the Colossus is the name for Ming. Very easily procced. And looks like, yeah, as you predicted, both junglers starting topside and getting a leash as they both start on the buff.
But all eyes have to be on this Lee Sin. How quickly will he get to the bottom lane, and how well will it work with Ming? Ming is incredibly aggressive when he plays Leona, and basically it works like this. As soon as the waves are cleared out, and in between the 2 waves crashing, that's when Leona wants to go in, because she doesn't want to take any of the extra minion damage. So it's really important that SMLZ and 5 keep control of those creep waves, make sure that they always have the larger horde to punish the melee support when she comes in aggressively, as well as making a point that when Leona comes in, are the areas that she's going to look for when she comes in.
Icon got level 2 off of 6 creeps and was able to pull back and set up a very quick ward in the river. Do experienced Quints give you level 2 off of 6 creeps?
I haven't played around with the
done the math?
experience.
Yeah. is very fast. You can see World 6 is well aware of this. He's got supplementary vision. He immediately goes over to the scuttle. And Ming is going to face, or MLXG is going to face check right into World 6. Elise gets the jump on him, starts burning him down, transforms. And that's 300 health on MLXG. There's the repel follow-up. Tries to get some more. Auto attack, red buff burning down. But Xiao, who turns around to save him. 5 is up there as well. The faster response from OMG keeps MLXG out of this.
And this wins at least 2 lanes, if not 3 positions if you include the jungle. So World 6 has the jump on LXG. He's going to force him back as well as take his Raptor camp. And he gets to do this because there's priority push of SMLZ and 5 on bottom lane, as well as that cheeky ward that was placed by Icon. So mid lane has the advantage, jungle has the advantage, OMG have the advantage.
Yeah, things are looking very good for OMG once again as MLXG is off to a slow start. A very aggressive invade from World 6 catches him unaware, and he gets the worst of it. Ming now, level 2, is not able to rush into the bottom lane, and he won't be having any help from MLXG anytime soon either.
And look at Icon. He then places his trinket again on his own Raptor camp, so they're going to catch out MLXG as he's trying to trade back for equal farm. You would expect he would then either path towards jungle for, or excuse me, mid lane for a cheeky gank, or walk up towards the Krug camp. What will World 6 do with this information?
Xiang is actually pushed up against his turret, so he has the opportunity to go over there right now. You can see he's currently invading towards the Krugs. Looks like World 6 is set to trade this. He's invading back towards the bottom side. He's got his own ward on the Krugs of MLXG. And Xiang, on top of it this game, pulls back in between the waves, lets the Krugs reset.
They're just denying these really tiny micro advantages away from MLXG, because now it's going to be a free camp for World 6, or a free gank because he's actually sliding in, spotted by a ward.
Yeah, he gets very deep behind enemy lines. He's going to have to feint back towards Ming. Tosses out the Spiderling, gets the Cocoon as well. Do they have enough damage? They do! First Blood, World 6 teleport completed from Xiaohu. He shows up bottom. That means Icon can free farm mid. Almost gets a kill onto 5, but not a summoner spell was burned.
And that's just so careless from Ming. You understood what he wanted to do, but he just kind of lost himself in the game for a second. He wanted to use his Zenith Blade on the Elise and quickly reposition himself to get out as opposed to burning the flash. But because he's so greedy to hold that summoner spell, instead of getting the Zenith Blade, he just eats the Cocoon, has it chain CC'd into a bubble, and dies.
Yeah.
Like, no excuse. You still have flash. Just burn it.
Yeah, could this be the very first time we get to see Ming lose on Leona? We're about to find out as Xiaohu makes his way back into the mid lane. Immediately, Icon tries to punish him with the threaded volley. Just harassing this lane, so already opening up a mild CS advantage.
Fun fact. Uzi is the curse of OMG. Have you heard this?
I have not.
Okay, think about every single time that RNG walked into a World Finals. Who was the team that they went through to do it?
Starhorn Royal Club, RNG.
It was OMG.
OMG.
It's always, the joke always is that OMG are like the front linemen and Uzi's like the football. And OMG does all the hard lifting. You know, they beat the Korean team, whereas RNG gets to go through like a European or an NA team.
Yeah.
And then just like Uzi meets a Chinese team and then just bops them and then makes his way into the World Final. He's done it twice now. And then the year that he was actually on OMG, they lost and they didn't even get to go to the World Championship. It was like OMG saying, we can actually avoid the Uzi curse if we put Uzi on our team. There's no way he can screw us this time. And then they didn't even go.
Yeah.
The irony.
Oh, man. Well, now they get to play against him. They get the opportunity to demonstrate, all right, fine, we'll play against you, but we'll just be better.
This would be like the first time that OMG ever beat Uzi.
Yeah. I mean, they've done it so far in game number 1. Can they continue forward? Xiaohu gets level 6 and trades out a little bit with Icon. You can see junglers on bottom side of the map. Some very deep wards from 5 and World 6 to keep an eye on MLXG. But intelligently enough, Let Me does the same on the opposite side. He sees the red buff as it respawns. He'll see World 6 if he goes in, but Ming forces a fight, and MLXG ganks bottom. 5 is the target. He flashes. That's heal used, but the lack of summoner spells used earlier keeps them alive.
Excellent sidestep from 5 there to make sure that the Sonic Wave didn't connect. That should have been the follow-up and possibly the kill onto the Nami because the bubble missed. So, missed the initial mechanical ability with bubble, but made up for it on the back half.
Yes. Good setup from OMG to keep themselves alive. Still maintaining a mild CS advantage, and they do have assists on both SMLZ and 5. Nowhere near as big an advantage as they did have in game number 1, but now a lot less kill threat comparatively. SMLZ gets culling and immediately starts pushing forward a little bit more.
Yeah, but there's no double kill on the Lucian, so much better start this time around. It's only going to get more volatile for OMG when Ming and Uzi get the level 6, because then you're dealing with Solar Flare as well as Arrow. It means that World 6 and Icon need to start getting involved out here. That's a teleport.
They're collapsing onto Icon and World 6, who have been spotted going for a ward. It's completed. Let me at level 7. Lands a hook onto his Spiderling. That gets him in range for the depth charge. They follow up with a CC lock. He's going to have to come down eventually. Drops in as Xiyoung joins the fight. There's a kill for SMLZ. A double! You said it wasn't there, and immediately it turns around as RNG take a fight and throw it.
They are so desperate for that. The fact that Let Me overreach, you know, he finds the dredge line and follows it up with the depth charge there on Elise. He's just going to repel.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
With that greedy play, that's Mountain Dragon picked up very early. 8 minutes and 30 seconds for OMG. Here it is again. It looks good, but it's an Elise.
It's the wrong target, that's what it is. So he hits the Spiderling, pulls him in range. You have a nice follow-up of trying to chain the CC between the Leona stun, but the repel comes up by the time she lands. Surprise! I've got Shin on top of me. Nautilus is like, this is a terrible mistake.
I've made a terrible mistake.
You guys told me to go. I trusted you. He's literally that guy in the water basket with the Viking hat. You've seen this meme? It's old. Where everything's flooded. And he's like, do the laundry, they said. It'll be fine, they said.
It's an older meme, sir, but it checks out. Well,
I know,
we'll have to see if the access codes are enough to get RNG through the Rebel base.
I appreciate you reaching deep to make that work.
Yeah.
I know I can always count on you, Dom.
Because it's not just a meme. There's always the origin of the meme, the implications of it, the different variations. There's really a whole culture around it.
Yeah, you should ask Pulse about it.
Pulse just says Kappa, and then he'll walk away.
Pog champ.
Yeah, yep, that's the one.
I bet Twitch that's just spamming
No,
that face.
Please.
Make it stop!
But, I mean, you said it again. They were already set into a slight advantage by getting that first blood onto Ming and setting it up onto World 6. And then you mentioned, there's no double kill on SMLZ. Things are fine for RNG. 30 seconds later, fight. Double kill onto SMLZ.
Right back where we were.
Exactly.
But rinse, wash, and repeat. MLXG is like, this time it'll work. Throw the arrow.
Oh, man.
Who are they going to hit?
Try me.
So Uzi's walking up into Fog of War so he can throw the arrow blind, so there's less time to react. You see the ping go down?
Yeah, Icon's actually heading down towards that side, and they're bringing World 6 as well. Where is that Lee Sin? Uzi's out of vision.
Checking his raptor camp. He's not forming raptors.
There's the arrow.
Oh!
5. Clutch sidestep.
This guy is so good. 5 started as a Thresh 1 trick, and the champion used to be banned away from him, very similar to how Cloud is on QG.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to kind of see his progression and his evolution to kind of this caster support catch-all.
Oh, World 6 gets the cocoon and early damage onto MLXG. Chain knocks him up. He gets into the air, but the Shatter Orb doesn't proc. He comes right back down. There's the auto. Follow-up from Xiao, who manages to get the kill as Ming rotates around. He was thinking about it. He was like, do I flash? No.
I love it. You just see the Leona ult on the very tip of your screen. You're like, when did Ming get here?
Yeah.
What is this guy doing? But showcasing the fact that he is the shot caller for RNG. So even though it was MLXG and Xiaohu that were setting up that play there, which worked successfully for them, it was the shot caller following it up saying, charge, go, kill him.
An excellent reaction from RNG. They pushed in bottom and started to swing towards mid. Uzi was just a little bit late, of course, have to clear out the CS.
Is he late or is he purposely choosing to farm?
It's Uzi. You never can tell.
He was definitely was like, that guy's dead. I would rather farm.
Always can tell, actually, with him as Icon clears out the wave. But trades just a bit with Xiaohu. World 6 goes right back to the scene of the crime. I was like, oh, yes, bullet casings.
But he has to be there because Icon no longer has his flash. He does still have cleanse, so not in too much danger away from the chain, but definitely the burst potential. So there is a target bottom because the ultimates are about to come back up from Uzi and Leona, but there's also a target mid lane because Talia is a low mobility, just like free food, like, what is it, golden buffet, country buffet? I'm really hungry.
We'll try to get you a snack in between the games, but right now, focus, Frostgaren.
I can't.
Focus.
Oh, God.
12.5 minutes in. in game number 2. This could go to game number 3 even. There's only 800 gold separating the teams, and though OMG have got an advantage, back onto SMLZ, they've got that first Mountain Drake. Another one is spawning in 2 minutes. World 6 has actually got lane pressure, Xiang has actually got lane pressure this time. You can see him now taking Scuttle Crab on that side of the map. He's got Stand United, he's got teleport. If fight breaks out, he is ready.
That said, Letme can just follow it up with the teleport as well. He's been on point with it. He's also got push priority, so he'll get the early advantage or early rotation. You can see him cheating down towards the river, which RNG have full control over.
Yeah, and I like the change-up from Xiang's build, going for that Tiamat against the Nautilus so that he can clear the wave, so that he can get out there faster. And you see them sort of trading the minion waves back and forth as they continue to move around the map, knowing that a fight could break out as World 6 and 5 start setting up vision.
I wanted to talk about Sunfire, but we might not get a chance to do it. Sit in the bush. Who are they going to catch? They were spotted by Hawkshot.
Yeah, they should have been seen there. Ming sees this fresh ward. He knows that somebody's nearby. Red buff is being stolen. MLXG drops a ward. Does he try for the Sonic Wave?
They're just going to take it and blast plant out.
Oh, they've caught 5. There's the arrow as well. Do they have enough crowd control? They do, in fact. World 6 is still caught as well. 2 quick kills for RNG as they snap shut the jaws of the trap.
And finally, the trap actually works. So Xiang picked the wrong target there. Poor little 5 didn't get a shield, and he didn't get to even make it to the team fight, as Elise quickly followed after that. Good job by Ming to deny the blast plant as well.
It's a great idea, but if you're crowd controlled for 6 consecutive seconds, it makes it a little difficult to get an auto attack. Perhaps relying on SMLZ to pop it over the wall.
They're sieging up mid.
They are. Blue buff is being stolen by MLXG, but 3 members of RNG push Icon back with SMLZ bottom. That's not a lot of wave clear that can get there. Xiaohu feels safe just pushing in aggressively as they bring Uzi towards that lane. SMLZ finally rotates to group up with the rest of his team, but it's still a 200 gold deficit as RNG have reclaimed tempo.
And tempo will continue to go into their favor because, again, if you look at the cooldowns between the Ashara and the Leon ultimate, they're about to come back up. And that's going to be another big window where Stand United won't be there, and then she can make a play. Yeah, so I like the fact that World 6 is like, we can't fight, but I can take Dragon by myself because I'm Elise.
Trying to steal it out right now. He actually staggers all of his Spiderlings on top of it, so MLXG and Ming immediately rush right on in. World 6 has got to get the heck out of dodge. SMLZ is split from his team right now. And
again, it's just to emphasize that OMG, the only play that they wanted to make there was to sneak the dragon, not to fight for the dragon. They recognize that they're on the back foot right now, although Lucian's pretty strong, but when you chain CC lock him with Arrow, Solar Flare, not so great anymore. So it was a good attempt, the only play that they really had available. They're just waiting for Stand United before they can kind of maybe step up toe-to-toe for RNG.
Oh, the arrow's tossed. SMLZ again with a crisp reaction, just sidesteps.
Has he hit a single arrow?
Uzi has, yes.
1?
He caught 5. He caught SMLZ once. He was able to get World 6.
He's only thrown
the first
4 arrows. Oh, this game.
Oh, in this game, no. He's not been doing great. Let me actually catches mid undefended. Xiang completes his teleport as World 6 eats some damage. So again, RNG, they're finding the tempo in this and pulling OMG around the map. Slowly but surely, they're losing out on a little bit of turret health here, summoner spell there, these tiny objectives.
Hold on though, let me still here.
Flash, depth charge. Oh, but a good flash from Icon gets him to safety and behind the turret.
Yep, to block the dredge line that would come in. But this is big. Letme is actually forcing a lot of summoner spells out from Xiang simply because he has that push priority. And it goes back to the build that Xiang has. So he has the Tiamat as well as the MR as opposed to going Sunfire Cape. Normally the Shins will go Sunfire to help them compensate for their push, but because it's a magic dealer, he doesn't want the armor or the health. He wants the MR but needs to match it anyway. So I like the adaptation to the build. Unfortunately, Letme is still running circles around him and forcing him to burn summoner spells needlessly. Yeah,
Letme has got his teleport right now. So again, the attempt at a dragon sneak from World 6 is spotted out by a ward from Ming. And the situation defuses. SMLZ is still doing a great job in this bottom lane. 20 CS ahead of Uzi, about 15 once this wave clears out. Still feeling really good about this upcoming fight if he can stay alive. There is so much damage coming out of RNG as they are starting to hit their own brief power spikes.
And there's so much more threat towards the backline this time around. Not only is there a point-and-click depth charge that can go back there, but also the fact that Xiaohu and Leona can reach back into that Lucian. So he no longer just gets to sit back and kite.
Yeah, and MLXG is in fact the one who can sneak the Baron As World 6 is kept occupied by Xiaohu in the mid lane, the map is slowly but surely falling apart for OMG. RNG are just moving faster. Again, a poor recall from Icon leaves his mid-tier 1 undefended. This could be the first turret right here, right now.
It's 100% falling. It's not the question of where do they rotate to next. Do they try to collapse into the bottom lane or try to dive the Shin top?
So far, it looks like they're staying in the lane.
Icon's going top lane, but he's spotted out by the ward.
Yeah, Xiaohu's making his way up, and Icon sees this.
Excuse me, I'm so used to seeing Icon play LeBlanc.
Xiaohu hops in to clear out the wave, so things are much slower this game. We're seeing RNG play a much more tactical map, just using a little bit more thought to pull OMG apart instead of just brute forcing them, but they are still having exceptional mechanical plays.
A lot of this is on the back of Ming and Xiaohu's individual performances, though. Ming constantly cheating up into the topside river, trying to set up plays or at least participating in the back half of plays, being in the area at least a shot call for it. But the big proponent is Xiaohu and how hard he's winning his lane and how much attention he is absorbing from World 6.
Attention is yielding a lot of results so far. Uzi is now able to get back very close in CS. Still down about 15, but not seeing too much less than that as he completes his own Blade of the Ruined King and Zeal. Xiaohu getting a little bit larger. We're seeing MLXG go for some damage now as he goes for a Tiamat second instead of into tankiness. So again, RNG are relying on quick picks and burst with their chain CC. With pressure in the mid lane and pressure in the bottom, looks like they're ready to collapse on that bottom lane.
And that's a lot of pings. Here comes the arrow.
Yeah, they're trying to catch SMLZ, and they have found him. The arrow finds 5. Solar Flare seems to lock that support down, stand united, and heal. But here's Xiaohu. The chains find SMLZ, and they get him despite a great bubble from 5. It is not enough. The Weaver's Wall is too little too late.
And the play has been made. Xiang doesn't even get the chance to follow up and be that Shin on the bottom, which is why the Weaver's Wall is immediately canceled because there's no fight happening down there. It's going to be another tower for RNG, you would think, as soon as that wave crashes.
Yeah, Xiang, you can see him trading with Let Me a little bit up here. Finally able to be a little bit more effective in this damage, but RNG are answering back by taking the second turret in this game, and suddenly OMG are losing ground. Very slow and deliberate plays. They seem to be set to collapse onto Icon. He still has no summoner spells from the previous gank. Cleanse is tossed up. There's a depth charge. He is knocked into the heavens. World 6 finds Xiaohu, but he just doesn't have enough damage to burst through that LeBlanc.
And the Cocoon doesn't connect, which means that they don't get the shutdown bonus on the LeBlanc. So a huge miss from World 6, and not normally the mechanical play that we see out of it. Taking a look at the bottom play, this is frankly, they know that all of the forces are converging onto the bottom lane. So the Stand United is cancelled from Xiang, which means that the Shin's not down there, which means the Chalia Wall just kind of throws this out as the attempt to save Nami, to put distance as opposed to join the rest of the fight.
SMLZ is trying to force down this bottom tier 1, perhaps at the cost of his life.
That's
Xiaohu and Ming
teleport.
are down there. There's the teleport you mentioned. They found 5 making his way out as that bottom tier 1 goes down. Arrow onto 5 plus a solar flare. And Ming is set to follow him over the wall with that blast cone. SMLZ makes his way to safety. Xiaohu continues to follow, and MLXG is there. Oh, SMLZ getting a little bit too greedy for the Gromp. Ends up going down in 5, now pinned in between a Nautilus and a Leona. Not a desirable position to be. And trying to give himself up. He's leading them on a very merry chase. He's actually stalling minions. Meanwhile, OMG are pushing top. They were able to take the top tier 1, so it's now even in turrets. Ming is just toying with his food at this point, batting it around like a cat. The mid-tier 2 was being pushed, but Icon was able to hold it. He had to burn his flash to do so. 5 is still going.
I don't know if it's Ming who's toying with his food or Nami toying with him.
There he goes. Ming finally gets it. A few limp flops. You can see a huge laugh and smile on his face. And 5, he's got a bit of a smile himself.
He was definitely chuckling. He dodged that Zenith Blade around the corner, turned on a dime.
Yeah. So despite those 2 deaths from OMG, they were able to answer back in turrets. They're still down about 2,700 gold. But this is not looking great for them. Though that certainly stalled out the momentum of any upcoming plays. Seems like they are going to try to catch Xiang up top.
It's pretty much that moment where they start to crack a little bit. You know, RNG, that serious face of like, come on, guys, we can't lose this series. Ming starts giggling a little bit. Ming?
You need to calm down. This is serious mode.
This is serious mode. You flash for that kill if you need to.
It's like when your mom is really angry at you, but then your dad is behind her and he just gives you a little thumbs up and you're like, yes, it was all worth.
I see what kind of parents you have.
Xiang does some good trading with Xiaohu. The turret is defended. He's got a lot of crowd control. He's brought MLXG up there as well. But they can't quite break through that Shen's health pool. Meanwhile, a bit of pressure out of SMLZ in the mid lane.
The scary thing is that they don't see where Icon is. So they know that Talia was looking to rotate up there, which is why they hesitate on diving the Shen, who has his taunt, who has his flash, who has a possible Talia sitting in his back pocket, as well as the Huntsman Spider running around.
Galloping, really.
They literally gallop.
Yeah.
Dom sat down one day and he's like, hey, did you know Huntsman Spiders gallop? Do you know what a spider looks like when it gallops, Dom?
It is amazing. It doesn't actually make... Anyways, that's a story for another time. Mountain Dragon is being taken by RNG. OMG decide to give it up. They've got Scuttle Crab, but a lot of good that's going to do them. As MLXG is just so fast at clearing that out. He's got Hex Drinker Tiamat. Last time I saw this build was when Rusty solo carried me in a solo game. This is very big performance from MLXG on this champion. Much stronger showing than his play on Gragas in game number 1.
And it's a double Mountain Dragon on top of a Blade of the Rune King build from Ashe, which means that early Baron is incredibly possible should RNG get a good fight.
Yeah. So
it becomes that much more important that OMG, they cannot slip up now because the game is, you know, a millisecond away from just cracking wide open.
Oh man, they're actually on the Baron. They've got 5 people here. There are no wards. There's one on the back of the pit from 5. They will spot him over here. Uzi does so much as Xiaohu opts to take a turret shot. They see that Icon's on the bottom side of the map, so the top tier 1 drops. The top minion wave is pushed in. And they continue to focus on this side lane pressure, defending the mid-tier 1 and setting up, but not executing yet.
And here's the thing, they have so much pick potential though. They have the LeBlanc, the Leona, as well as the Ashe. So they've now cleared out all of the vision. They've got push priority in mid and top lane. Someone from OMG is going to screw up, and hopefully it's not World 6.
It looks like it might be Xiang. He's trying to defend 1 versus 5. Finally, SMLZ gets there, but half the health on that tier 2 is worked away by Uzi and the rest of RNG as they get the heck out of dodge. And they still are pulling OMG around the map. Xiaohu has found Icon once again. He's on full split push mode on that Talia. We mentioned how strong the Talia could be when she's ahead. Can she have as much of an impact when she's behind?
If she's fighting in terrain, yes, just because she has so much control over changing the course of fights with her Weaver's Wall, as well as all of the AoE abilities that she has on her kit. Hold on though, here comes the pick.
They get a bubble on the MLXG. Flash Cocoon, do they have enough crowd control to kill him? He's going low, but Flash is kept alive by his Hex Drinker. The arrow still catches SMLZ under his turret. He dies, pinned against the wall as Uzi lines it up and sinks it.
So compensates for the fact that he was whiffing those arrows for the better portion of the front half of this game. Finds one that matters, and they're now setting up to siege this tower, which Xiaohu's like, nope, not today. We're going to delay this.
Yeah, interesting. I've never actually seen the terrain with a sweeper on top of that. Tiny little rectangles. But they now have gotten onto the tier 2 turret. It will drop despite the bubble from 5. You can see they're already prepping bottom with Letme, and a quick rotation from RNG looks to crack this open. Xiang is trying to trade by pushing up top. He's got a Tiamat, so he's got pretty fast clear. Actually, excuse me, the Titanic. Though they will be trading 2 turrets for 1 and a kill. And it looks like OMG decides not to force the issue.
Which means that Xiang also needs to back up now because he doesn't know where RNG are. You saw that Uzi made his earlier back. He's now rushing towards the top side of the map. At this point, it's going to be a reset and back to a Baron dance. We're still waiting for that Cloud Drake to spawn. That said, it is Cloud, so we should still be playing towards the top side of the map for the rest of this game.
So Frosco, this is a very different game number 2 compared to game number 1, though we are seeing a similar composition out of RNG, just a little bit more go hard, go in. What is so different? What changed? I mean, SMLZ got the double kills. He had the advantage in lane. They were taking the early Dragon priority from World 6. As 5 looks to be caught, Sonic Wave catches him, and Xiang is able to get there in time to keep him alive.
But it's this guy on your screen that changed. It's Xiaohu. He's having a much better performance into the mid lane, and he's teaming up much better with MLXG. And he's denying a lot of World 6 and Icon. So yeah, SMLZ got the 2 kills. You know, he kind of went even in his lane just because there was so much attention going down to it, but there was no follow-up behind him. He didn't have his jungler, he didn't have his mid laner, and Uzi does.
Yeah. Speaking of follow-up, you can see what it looks like when the rest of your team is right behind you. They get some crowd control into Xiang and immediately force him away, but OMG are able to collapse behind him. The arrow finds Icon. He instantly cleanses, so Uzi is making up for his performance in game number 1 right now.
But that was a lot of big key ultimates used, especially that disengage ultimate from 5 there. They need to tend to their waves, which means that RNG now have priority on where they go next. Do we shove in mid lane? Do we look for another pick in the jungle?
And LXG again gets caught out. This time they do have enough crowd control to kill him.
There's no reason. RNG, that was your play to win. You were supposed to clear out the vision. You were supposed to wait for the arrow or the chains to then punish OMG. And MLXG just like turns a corner blind.
Oh, they've caught World 6 with a huge Zenith blade. They're forcing the fight. There goes the Weaver's Wall to split Ming off from his team. He flashes over, but Xiang locks him down. SLZ is grouped up. It's 5 versus 3 with a Mountain Dragon. Xiang, make up your mind. Baron or fight?
It looks like it's going to be Baron. They don't have MLXG, so there's no smite contest, but they do have a full health tank, and they want to fight.
Yeah, it's down to 4,000. Lemmy gets in there. Xiaohu gets huge damage onto Icon. Uzi's firing across his Xiang, misses his Shadow Dash. Baron is picked up by OMG. SMLZ's over the wall, trying to fire these shots. Xiang is so low, and Uzi is free firing. There's the Rozelle. SMLZ is doing work. He eats another arrow as it comes off cooldown. It's not enough. Finally, he tries to get in there. Xiang keeps him standing, but only just. There's the shutdown onto Uzi. Let me drops. And OMG take the Baron and take the fight at the cost of what?
SMLZ is a god. I don't care what anyone says. He played that fight like a god. Yes, he has a whole team composition that's built behind him. And yes, they are all fighting behind him, you know, making sure that the cooldowns. But just look at his positioning for this. Okay. So you know it's going to be a fight. There's no smite contest from MLXG. World 6 is going to set it up, but it is SMLZ that ends it. Now watch SMLZ in the back right here. He's going to sidestep the first dredge line right there. Letme's like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. Has to flash away. SMLZ then is going to relentless pursuit away, allows the Shin to come in, find the taunt, and then turns it on and cleans up the rest of the fight.
Excellent communication with Xiang in that fight. Huge outplays to keep his team in this, despite being at a deficit. Now it's OMG who can finally start to break down this final Tier 1 turret, and almost opposite as MLXG looks for the insect. There's no flash from SMLZ. The crowd control is enough. He's dead. And Xiang will get one trade in answer, but it's up to Icon to do damage in return. There's no sign of Uzi. The arrow has found Icon. There's the Zenith Blade, plus the depth charge. Xiaohu is doing so much damage, but he flashes away from the ethereal chains. Repel means that World 6 tries to go for the outplay, but gives up his life. And again, an exact duplicate of game 1. The first fist is thrown, and the second one follows.
I am actually angry about how similar that was. Literally game number 1, like you said, RNG, MLXG in particular, messes up, gives away a free Baron. Same thing this time around. MLXG walks around a blind corner, gets picked off, it's a free Baron for OMG. Immediately afterwards, MLXG is like, it's fine, I got this, hold my beer, and then makes mechanical outplay and kills 2 Barons, I believe, possibly 3, not just 2, on OMG. That's frustrating.
Gotcha. The Baron buff. Yep. Huge setup. So that was only 2. That was World 6 and SMLZ. The rest of OMG were able to pull back. They've still got it for 70 seconds.
But why that's important is they still have 3 Barons left, which means that they can impact all 3 lanes with the Baron. Unfortunately, one of them is on the support. So most of the time you want it on the top lane or the mid laner and the jungle. But we'll see how they even this one out.
Yeah. So far, they've got 2 in the mid lane. Icon is split pushing once again. He'll have to answer Xiaohu, who is level 17, 6, 0, and 5. That is a really big LeBlanc. As Decoy will spot out 5, World 6, and SMLZ. Sonic Wave. There's the arrow. Oh, that narrowly missed. Even the bubble, just in case there were to be a follow-up. And they keep looking for the plays here, but SMLZ is able to sidestep most of it. Lock into the Iron Solari, soaks that culling, so very effective itemization.
But here's the thing, Xiang still has the Baron buff, and he's in the bottom lane, so this will be a free tower for OMG right about now. So generally and overall, they're still winning.
Yeah. This time, the Baron could actually lead to an advantage. Last time, they were down 700 gold when the Baron wore out. They're already 450 up, plus another 300 from that turret. Uzi, though, looks like he's trying to get in towards the mid lane. Letme's ready to flank.
Deep, deep flanks from 3 members of RNG.
Sonic Wave onto the minions. Xiaohu's trying to corral them, herding OMG into the pen. They're Stand United on that priority target. No chances for RNG to get in this.
Oh,
but
no.
the fight is turned. Weaver's Wall has separated MLXG and Ming, but OMG, they get split around the wall and decide to back away, recognizing how important it is to stay as a collective unit.
Yeah, excellent positioning from Uzi in particular to stand and fight as soon as the wall started separating his team. He said, no, not today. I'm covering everyone's bases.
Huge setup from him, but now this means there are no big neutral objectives to take on the map. It's all about lanes and side control. LPL is answering bottom, but there's a huge wave building up top that someone will have to answer. Xiaohu is deep in enemy territory. He's not been spotted out just yet. And the Baron is almost 3 times as effective.
Xiang, though, is definitely in some trouble here. That's MLXG and Xiaohu.
He's 1v2. Do they have enough crowd control? They know he's got no Stand United, blocking a few of these hits from the huge damage. Redemption, he gets back into it. It heals him up for 800 health. That buys a lot of time.
Here comes
Shield
his
turns
team.
himself around. They're bringing Ming up there as well, along with Uzi, and Xiang is able to keep himself alive.
Excellent redemption from 5, and both these supports, Ming and 5, we said that this was going to be a game about 80 carries, you know, the big names, SMLZ versus Uzi, but it's really been their partners in crime that have been kind of these slight differences that have turned games.
We're seeing the 80 carries show up huge in fights, and the supports show up huge in skirmishes. Meanwhile, both of the junglers are going toe-to-toe as well. I mean, this is a very even match.
Incredible shot calling, incredible bubbles. Maybe not that tidal wave ultimate, but that's fine. 5, you've been more impressive than that.
It was a zoning ultimate, in case there were anyone else. Xiang finds Xiaohu this time. And despite taking some good burst damage from that Void Staff, he's still relatively safe. Another chain procs. He's bringing Icon up there as well with those Weaver's Wall, but Ming and Uzi are already there to support their mid laner.
Xiaohu's testing his luck a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he's 6-0-5 right now.
But this is going to be a race of who's actually going to get top first, the rest of OMG or the rest of RNG.
It's a sort of a low risk, potentially high reward. If he can kill that Shen, he could try to get down that top tier 2 with a brief period that opens up. But now it's 60 seconds before Baron spawns, so we see a quick recall out of Icon and Xiang. We're going to see some cycled recalls out of OMG as they get ready for this already. Ming picks up 3 more control wards, restocks his Ruby Sightstone, and starts racing out of the base to head towards that side of the map. But a minute after is Elder Dragon, and we saw how game number 1 went.
The fact that RNG lost with Elder Dragon is actually what's quite impressive, so... Again, if this game comes to a single 5v5 versus playing the intelligent game, playing the map, trying to rip OMG around, RNG lost the first game like that. I'd hate to see them make the same mistake. That said, they have a much stronger 5v5 composition this time around, a lot more hard CC, a lot more pick potential. So I like the fact that Ming is already starting to sweep out that Baron, start setting up for Xiaohu, for Ashe to look for those picks. But now they need to be smart about it.
Yes.
Don't just bait into OMG.
You know, it's hard to believe that just a week ago we were saying that the match from RNG versus Invictus Gaming would be the last chance we get to see RNG really tested before playoffs once they got out of cross-conference play.
I don't think anyone ever expected OMG to reach these type of heights. And to be frank, we don't really know where OMG's skill ceiling is even. Like, 5 has vastly improved over this single split. He was not this type of support player. Like, again, the Thresh 1 trick. He's now playing an incredible Nami. You can see him looking for those predicts with the bubbles. SMLZ is a new man reborn. We knew that he was a great gen player, but to see him show up on other champions like the Lucian to be a hyper carry consistently for his team, and World 6.
Ooh. Looks like OMG are trying to call the bluff, or RNG are calling the bluff. Arrow is fired and it misses Icon. He's able to flash out of the way. As a very fast rotation with double mountain gets a lot of chip damage onto that inhibitor turret. Icon sets the wall.
He's got 1.
Ming and MLXG are split from their team, but they both have summoner spells and a path to escape. As they just casually reroute through the jungle, the rest of RNG escorts them to safety.
Also a very nice volley from Uzi. He actually tagged Xiang with the slow, making sure that he wouldn't be in distance. Look for the taunt.
Oh, Xiang goes very far forward. Sonic Wave finds 5. He immediately flashes back. That's a fast summoner blown. Solar Flare finds Xiang. They're in the very tight corridor. They've got zone control to back through. If they can pull RNG into the funnel, they can take the fight, but RNG want to fight in the open area.
Yeah, and RNG also want to fight right now because they know that there's no threat of the Weaver's Wall, as well as the taunt was just burned. So keeping track of these very vital cooldowns.
Xiaohu finds 5. That support has got nowhere to go. They set up the zone control. SMLZ's firing in the back. He cleanses. He's got Stand United. Clears out Ming. Turns now on to Let Me, continuing to fire these shots. Xiaohu's looking for an opening, but Icon sets up the Unraveled Earth.
But the Ash Arrow is back up.
Oh, and it catches Xiang in the front. He's nice and tanky, so we can take a few hits from Uzi, but not too much. They trade supports and disengage.
And that should be it. Again, everyone was just kind of waiting on these big cooldowns. SMLZ, though, still has some fight left in him. But RNG, they knew they could look for the re-engage. Uzi saying my arrow is just about to come back up, so we can wait for this one.
They're now turning on to the Elder Dragon, confident they can take the ensuing fight, but the trade from RNG, they're racing for the Baron teleport even. They're on top of a control ward, and this is going to be the big neutral objectives swapped over. Elder Dragon goes down very quickly.
There is a teleport from Let Me, so he can get there earlier.
He's getting in. Baron is finished off. Xiang's over the wall as teleport is canceled. So, Baron versus Elder Dragon. 1,000 gold between the teams. This game is neck and neck.
But here's my opinion on Baron versus Elder. The thing is you still need to kill structures to win the game, and ultimately if OMG are just smart, they just wait out Elder. They don't let you fight, and they use the Baron buff to absorb any sort of pressure that the Elder Dragon would apply on the towers. So at this point, if I'm OMG, I would actually just neutralize it, just let it go. The onus is on RNG. They need to make use of the fact that they have the team fight buff and try to find these picks. As long as OMG just don't wander out into the open and eat an Ash Arrow or a chain, they should be okay.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. They've managed to catch SMLZ. The cleanse flash mid-kick to get away from Xiaohu.
But why are you there? Literally one job. Just hold hands.
He might not have been smart enough to make it to the safety of a library alone, but he's got the mechanical reactions to get back to the classroom on time.
Just stand in your own yard, wave at the neighbors.
Xiaohu's actually teleporting. He's looking for Xiang, who's empowered recalling. He gets onto him before the recall is canceled. The arrow tags him as well. And suddenly Xiang is about to be in a bad spot. Let Me's there. And MLXG is following up as well. Here's the crowd control. Do they have enough to lock him down? They're trading in the mid lane. Xiang will die. But OMG make their way onto the mid-tier 2 to trade their top laner for a turret.
This needs to be a hit and run, though. They need to get out. Xiao, who's actually was looking for the really deep flank, but he recognizes that they're going to cut underneath, so he lets it go. OMG, why?
Ooh, they did break the base at the cost of their top laner, and they've still got 40 seconds before he's back up. So if they can set up these waves and prevent them from getting to the turrets, they might be fine.
Still need to wait out that Elder, however. So you can still see it's pretty hot and viable on RNG.
That's a lot of damage, 180 true damage.
But now they don't have their big tank. Like, that's the thing. RNG's composition has 2 tanks. Has the Nautilus, has the Leona. OMG only have Shin, and he is dead. It makes diving that much more viable, especially when Let Me has Elder and GA.
SMLZ also still doesn't have his flash. He's able to separate the minions from the turret, and despite Xiaohu finding a great position on the flank, there's good zone control to chip away the front line. MLXG so low, and SMLZ pops the GA. A great cleanse gets him out of the arrow. Can they kill this Lee Sin? They can. They managed to defend and get a kill for their efforts.
But that was massive. So RNG, they had the right idea. You could see that Let Me, he was looking for the dive. The problem is that OMG beat them to the punch and start the fight. They are team fighting and skirmishing so well right now. This is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the LPL, and OMG are looking 2-0.
Yeah, they've got Xiang back up. They're not even waiting for him, rushing right back down the mid lane. Elder Dragon is about to fall off, but Baron has a longer duration. They turn onto the inhibitor and break it before RNG can respond. The base has been cracked and the fight has been won for now.
And they're rotating now down to a massive wave building in the bottom side. They still have just the inklings of Baron left on them.
Yeah, just a few seconds. Suddenly that extended buff duration on Icon is paying dividends. They've got the minions onto the turret. Do they have enough to clear it out? The zone control is so excellent from this Talia, and they drop the turret.
And they recognize not to push their luck. This is something that OMG are very good at, and why they've started to make the rise from underdog to dark horse. It's their short-term and long-term goals. OMG are so good at recognizing their win conditions, not so great at executing on it all the time. but you can always see what they're thinking. They knew, we don't have Shin. RNG want to dive. What do we have to do? We have to hit them before they hit us. We know that they're coming. They're out of position. Go.
Huge performance out of OMG in this game as they managed to open up a very slight advantage. Gold doesn't even matter at this point as you take a look at the items. It's all about those big buffs and those big picks. Unraveled Earth might have tried to catch somebody, perhaps Ming out of position, but he's just fine as the red buff is successfully stolen from MLXG and the super minions are pushed all the way back to nearly the inhib line for OMG.
At this point, it's going to be a truce, though. Everyone's just going to gentleman's agreement, shake hands. We're going to wait for Elder. We're going to wait for Baron. The only way this changes is if Xiaohu or Uzi get frisky. Throwing an arrow, catch maybe an SMLZ farming again. We know that he likes to do that. He's like, this is worth my flash and cleanse.
Full items, might as well farm up some more. I could use 8 more Elixirs of Wrath. 3,000 gold is that, Baron. Huge performance from OMG as they're cleaning this game up. It's game number 2, 43.5 minutes in. Despite a very close game number 1, blow for blow brawlers fight. We find ourselves in a very similar situation here in game number 2, and OMG are still coming out ahead.
But here comes the short-term goals again. So the ping goes to the last standing inner tower. One that's much easier to push down because A, it's weaker, it's easier to dive or get behind that tower. You can set up your vision superior about it, as well as the fact that Baron's coming up, so they want to play the top side of the map anyway, as opposed to trying to push in the open bottom inhib. It's this idea of objective identification is what I call it. And this is the right call from OMG, just because there's better objectives on this side of the map at this moment. A lesser team would have tried to storm that bottom inhib.
Oh, the play from MLXG as he looks for SMLZ, but finds himself too far forward. A kick to reset it. Xiaohu tries to flank, but this is exactly the kind of corridor that OMG want to take a fight in. They've killed 1, and now they're chasing onto 2. Cocoon to zone Xiaohu as that World 6 tries to punish him. Exhaust denies any follow-up despite a great depth charge, and OMG are winning the fight.
But that is GA down for Nautilus, and GA still up and available for Shen. He's going to back, he has teleport, he's going to come in full health with GA, and the potential to dive is massive.
It's 5 versus 4. OMG are on the next inhibitor. There's no defense. Xiang teleports in with full health. The next inhib falls. Still 20 seconds before we get to see MLXG, so a huge numbers advantage. Could they try to end right here and right now, or will they play the intelligent game?
Clean up all of the inhibs. If you get forced out, you can look towards the Baron because you're playing with 3 super creep waves. If RNG make the mistake and overextend, you punish and end the game. It is low risk, high reward to do the play that OMG did. This is guaranteed the next Baron. RNG have 1 play left of them. Steal Baron. That's it.
Well, spicy hot pot. He almost threw game number 1, and then he almost won it. And now he's almost thrown game number 2. The question is, can he win it? Can he turn it around and make up for his mistakes? RNG are rushing the pit.
They are going to try to burn this as quickly as possible. This is going to be a 50-50 smite.
Xiang is there. World 6 is over the wall. He's made it there in time. And Xiang walks in 1 versus 5. Tidal Wave has found them. Weaver's Wall has separated RNG. Ming is dead before getting to use a single ability. Let Me uses a few dance moves on the side of the wall, but he is pinned and locked down. Xiaohu again flanks, but SMLZ instant cleanses, flashes onto Uzi to force him back. They are chasing this one down. OMG slowly and methodically are tearing RNG apart. Xiaohu is unable to break through the rock wall, the dividing force of OMG. They pop the GA teleport from Let Me. Not entirely sure he wanted to do that because now they're just going to chase him down. They continue to follow forward. Let Me is running out of health, and RNG are running out of time. The fans in the stadium have got to be screaming out in terror as one of the best teams in the league is about to lose to OMG. They are about to demonstrate that they are the superior all-Chinese roster. Dropping Nexus turret number 1, Xiaohu looks for the play, but SMLZ is untouched. He's got his eyes on the prize. He says, take that, Uzi, as he takes the series 2-0 over RNG.
The superior Chinese kings have spoken. In week 9 of the LPL, with nothing to lose for RNG, they fall 2-0. That one is got to feel sweet.
Oh, yeah. That one's for SMLZ.
That one's for OMG. This organization, at every turn in their history, have been put down specifically by Uzi as a player, even when he was on their own roster.
Huge performance from them in this game as they shake hands with their opponents. Now stepping forward, they have locked themselves into second place with this win. This will guarantee them at least 4th place.
They have locked themselves into playoffs with this win. Now, like you said, their seed is not locked. They're currently sitting in second. But boy, does it feel good. And you can see it on Icon's face.
Big smile from him. Now somebody else who hopefully has a big smile who can help us break down this match is Rusty. Welcome back.
Absolutely do not have a smile, or I wouldn't be able to talk and smile at the same time, Dom. It's actually impossible. So, no, that was a very good performance from OMG. Not from the start of the game, interestingly enough, though. They actually executed mid to late game better than RNG did. Barring individual mistakes, which were ripe on both of these teams, you can see that reflected through the gold values as the game went. OMG, they showed that they are actually the better team on the day in a best-of series, as they are more consistently performing. And that's against the #1 team in their own group.
Huge performance from them. You can see the swing in gold overall. Taking this against, as you said, the #1 team in the group. A contender for the best in the league for the LPL. Suddenly OMG, are they moving up past Dark Horse? What is the next evolution from that?
As long as they can stay consistent, then it becomes one of the elite teams. I'm still going to say that they're a dark horse. We haven't seen this type of consistency from them until very late in the season. It's still only week 9 that they've started to peak.
I would say the evolution of Dark Horse becomes contender, and that is the best that I'm willing to give them at the moment. But that is definitely the performance of a contending team towards at least winning their group.
Absolutely. Huge performance from them overall. You saw even in the damage, the fact that Xiaohu and Uzi outdamaged everyone, including SMLZ, but just intelligent play, not letting themselves get pulled apart during that mid-game, not letting themselves fall behind from the early laning aggression of RNG.
And it was really making more cautious plays in response to the mistakes that RNG were making. Again, it was MLXG that was caught out at a very pivotal point. It led to a free Baron from OMG, and it's just kind of that question mark where you scratch your head, you're like, what are you doing, MLXG? But then when it comes to OMG, you know, they don't overreach like RNG did. Yeah. They look to clean out all of the inhibitors and then fall back onto the Baron. They don't try to overextend or overreach and have their hand caught in the cookie jar.
Yeah, the thing is, Xiang overextended about 17 times.
Yeah.
So whilst they don't do it on the more important members of the team...
But he's the Shen.
Exactly. The Shen is the person who's getting caught out. And he's got the support of a random redemption from 5,000 units away to help him as they do collapse. He's tanky enough. And because LeBlanc doesn't have the capabilities to kill him, Xiaohu was 7-0-6 as they were about to lose the game. Like, that guy didn't even die in a loss that he should have won, him individually as a performer. He couldn't kill the Shen, so no one was going to kill the Shen. And plain and simple, they can afford to overextend with him and just capitalize elsewhere on the map, which is what they did. They were trading really well.
Yeah, and this is something that we mentioned a little bit early on, that sort of pick priority for RNG coming into this matchup to set themselves up for an advantage. They were still able to come up with a very strong composition. I mean, this is the first time Ming has lost on Leona. That record has now been tarnished. Huge performance.
A little bit. It's like 86% still, so I'll give you that. But
yeah.
Yeah, no longer undefeated. You're absolutely right. And the interesting part about this as well is RNG had a lead in game number 2. They were actually up quite well, and that's because 2 of their champions actually had R keys that do damage. So the second they get those, they're able to use their mid laner and their jungler as pivot points, where Talia and Elise are more about controlling the pace of the map or setting up vision to lock people out of fight so that they can do more. RNG are able to then skirmish and out-skirmish OMG. But the biggest thing is the one fight that happens around the Baron pit. I know that Frosker and you are hyping up SMLZ's performance when it comes to all of this, and of course remember that the jungler gets picked off to start it. The big proponent of this to me, whilst it was SMLZ, he positions incredibly well to be aggressive. It actually all comes back to Xiang, in my opinion. Firstly, hits the taunt that kills MLXG, hits a follow-up taunt that kills Ming, and then he holds the W, right? So Uzi's hitting him constantly, misses the taunt, does not matter. He will take all of the damage. He is the tank. That means Uzi's not hitting his team. Still hasn't used W. Not until it matters and he has a team to protect at the same time. Just like that, SMLZ caught out of position. Xiang moves to the back of the pit now that he's low and ults SMLZ. That's what keeps him alive and allows him to continue to go forward. So yes, SMLZ is doing all of this damage, but Xiang actually stands out to me as one of the best performing players in team fights as a Shen, which is meant to be a split pusher that just comes in to help.
Yeah, MVP, though, is going to go to the support who helped set him up. Involved in every single one of his team kills at 04 and 14. It's 5.
And from a fresh one trick to an MVP-worthy support here against RNG, 5 has made a complete turnaround on his career. This is a no-name player. No one knew what to expect from this squad.
Break it down, Frosco.
Yeah, he breaks his ankles, takes a left turn, dodges the Zenith Blade, then he's going to take him on a wild ride. Meanwhile, they do trade his life for the top-tier tower. That's gone down about 40 seconds ago.
Ming's losing his mind down in the bottom corner. Even 5 was smirking.
Yeah.
It was really the mind games there. He like broke Ming. He's like, we got him, coach.
And I think that's something that you mentioned. Like the veneer started to crack. RNG, they looked so strong for the first 20 minutes, but that play, could that have been the catalyst perhaps to get RNG into that sort of mind state? To have a little bit more fun?
I mean, having fun's the basis of being able to win in League of Legends, firstly. So,
Sure.
yeah, that would have helped them a little bit, but nobody was in a different mental state I think, from that particular instance.
Yeah. But again, a great performance from 5, a great performance from OMG overall. And as we said, this now puts them in playoffs for their group. They have secured that second playoff spot, which is excellent for them. Speaking to their opponents, though, RNG. This is now the third team we've seen them lose to. IMA, WE, and OMG. They've still got one more game next week where they are playing up against IMA once again. Do they need to take this seriously at this point?
Do you know what all those teams have in common? They're really good at 5v5ing. If you're going to talk about like the big brawling like team 5v5 teams in the LPL, WE, IMA, and OMG are all going to be kind of your brawler group. And I actually think it really exposes Let Me in particular and his ability to flank appropriately, to engage appropriately. We've seen this time and time again with RNG. Like they put him on Nautilus, but he doesn't quite look for the engages at the right times that they need. And that when RNG do fall behind, Let Me can't figure it out to be that low econ tank to kind of change gears. When he's on the Kled, when he's charging forward, when they're ahead, he looks incredible.
Yeah.
But when playing from behind, they start to fumble a little bit. And I think this actually really kind of exposes stylistically a problem with RNG.
Yeah, which is curious because, game 1, the Nam made a lot of sense into what he wants to do. If he's losing, back forwards, team fighting type of champion. Let Me, when he plays the Nautilus, you would expect a very similar thing. Just soak a lot of damage, be a tank, be able to engage for your team or disrupt the Lucian, who is a low-ranged AD carry. We have seen so many ADs that are the star carries of their teams lose to just Nautilus or a Maokai because they can prevent you from doing damage. SMLZ unrelenting in the fact that he's able to persevere through it and actually dodge hooks. So credit to SMLZ, but Let Me just didn't really get enough done for his team.
Yeah.
Where it felt like Xiang was doing more, and if Xiang's doing more than you are, generally you're not doing enough. Because Xiang is the baseline. He is your solid player.
I mean, that's something that we can speak to RNG as a whole about. The fact that all of these players are expected to show up. Of course, Ming has been huge. Uzi almost always shows up, and if he doesn't, it's because he's showing up a little bit too much and he gets too aggressive. Xiaohu had a huge performance. MLXG was a star in the early game for this one, completely making up for his performance in game number 1, but then he proceeded to get caught time and time again. So perhaps this could be an opportunity for Amazing J looking into that next matchup of RNG and IMA next week.
Yeah. I mean, it's always possible that when you highlight, a carry in the top lane, they're able to do enough work for their team. For me, if we're looking at MLXG getting caught out of position all the time, this is much more simplistic towards what RNG need to do to fix that. And that's just have MLXG work with his team. It feels like, they saw the coach coming out with him at the start of game 2, telling him all these things. He picks an aggressive champion and he's doing a lot of hero plays by himself. Even when he was kicking SMLZ, botched the kick perhaps, but he was by himself doing the kick, relying on a teleport to come in. The teleport wasn't early. And so I'm not sure if it's MLXG in his communication or if he's on a different wavelength to that of the rest of his team. But it definitely feels like he was the member, honestly, that got exposed a little bit alongside their top lane.
Could certainly be some trouble. I mean, we love talking about that sort of mid-jungle synergy, that top jungle synergy with how important junglers are here in the LPL meta. And sort of speaking to that World 6, great performance. Looked a little shaky in the beginning of game number 1. He still got first blood, was caught out a little bit invading.
It just speaks to the strength of LPL junglers in general. You ask World 6s 9 times out of 10, no one outside of like hardcore LPL viewers will be able to tell you. But World 6 just took down MLXG, and everyone knows that name. There are no bad junglers in the LPL.
Yeah, huge performance from him, of course, and a huge performance from OMG in taking that set. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break while we get ready for our next match between Invictus Gaming and Snake.